Your Steve Jones Show podcast is loading now. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Purdy Insurance. Visit Purdy Insurance on Market Street in Sunbury or visit online at purdyinsurance.com.
It's great to always talk with him. That's Dave Revsine from BTN. Dave, it was great to see you a couple of weeks ago. Welcome back to the show.
Good to be on with you as always, Steve. Thank you.
Okay, you've gone through the tour. Anything along the way that you learned that maybe you didn't quite know before as you went through from town to town?
Well, so the one thing I do need to say this year, Steve, and I know I mentioned this to you when I saw you in State College. So this was year 17. This will be year 17 of the network. We've done a tour 16 times. We didn't do it in the COVID year for obvious reasons. I had missed one stop in the first 15 tours, and I did it to do something with the commissioner a number of years ago. This year I had to miss 5. I missed 3 for the first expansion announcement. So I didn't see Minnesota, Nebraska, Northwestern because I was going to go, and then literally the day before we thought with all the rumbling I ought to stay back, and obviously that turned out to be a prudent move. And then I was moving one of my daughters into college, so I knew I was going to miss Michigan and Michigan State. So I only saw 9. I feel like I kind of cheated a little bit this year. That being said, I think, again, I didn't see Michigan, but on paper I obviously think they're really good. I think it's a 3-team race in the East. I mean, I think Penn State's really, really good. I'm not just playing to your audience. I think they're outstanding. Over in the West, I think the thing that stood out to me is the last team we saw, Wisconsin, I think is probably the team to beat. Based on what we saw, I think Illinois is in that conversation, and I think Hudson Card is going to be an amazing revelation at quarterback. I don't know that they have enough around him to come close to competing at Purdue, but he's really good.
Yeah. You asked me at the Penn State camp what, Steve, any surprises here? And I said to you, the biggest surprise has been there's no surprise. So I know in the end, you only get a couple of hours in there and so forth. But did they kind of meet an expectation maybe, Ed, going in?
Oh, yeah. No, I thought they were really good. I mean, this is the year that they're going to have to do something, right? I mean, and by do something, I mean, it's unfair, right? They won the Rose Bowl last year. They went 11-2. But they're going to have to beat one of Ohio State or Michigan this year, I think. They're too talented not to, right? They're too, I think, toss-up games. Again, I didn't see Michigan, so I think they're really good. But Penn State gets Michigan at home. You have to go to Columbus. I thought, and I know Howard and Jerry thought, that Penn State had many fewer question marks than Ohio State did. I just think they're better defensively. They're certainly more consistent. You know more about the quarterback. I think they're much better on the offensive line. So there's no reason they shouldn't be able to win one of those games this year. But no, Penn State's really good. I mean, exactly what you said. Like, I keep coming back to, like, if Trey Potts is your number 3 running back, you're pretty good. Like, they've just got a lot of, and if Dennis Sutton is your 3rd best edge rusher, I memean, they're just really good, man. They've got a lot of good pieces.
Yeah, no question. All right, I want to get to, since, obviously, I'm not talking out of turn here because I told Dave this directly. I said, when it comes to all this breaking news, especially with conference realignment, he handles this better than anybody I see on TV because there's a lot of moving parts. He won't say it, I will. Dave, now you've got the additions, USC, UCLA. That's been baked in now for more than a year. Now there's this Oregon-Washington situation. So there'll have to be obviously some changes. What is now your feel of an 18-team conference? And does it still feel like a conference at 18?
It does, but I think you're going to really have to go out of your way. Thank you for the kind words, by the way. Very nice of you to say. I think you're going to have to go out of your way to make sure everyone plays one another. Like, it cannot be a situation where you play a team once every 6 years, because at that point you're not a conference.
Bravo.
So, one of the things that we were tossing about, a suggestion that I had heard and that I really like, is give everyone, kind of one rivalry. I know Penn State, unrivaled, but let's say Michigan State. Let's just say, for purposes of conversation, Michigan State's your rival, right? And then you kind of go down the list, and Michigan and Ohio State, and Illinois, Northwestern, Purdue, and Indiana, Iowa, and probably Wisconsin. You can kind of go through, right? And you can figure out who that one rival would be. Maybe it's Iowa, Nebraska, and Wisconsin, Minnesota, whatever it might be. I think there's a logical one for everyone. Play that team every year, okay? And then 1 year, play one team from one side of every one of those other 8 rivalries, right? So, like, 1 year you'd play USC, and then the other year you'd play UCLA. 1 year you'd play Illinois, the other year you'd play Northwestern. Go on down the line. That gives you 9 conference games a year. It means you play everyone once every couple of years. So, and then you play your rival every year. So to me, if you're playing every team in your league every other year, then I think it's still a league. But I think once you get much beyond that, I mean, again, if you're going 3 or 4 years without playing a team, to me, it's not a real conference. So that's one way to do it. I'm sure there are other ways to do it, but just figure out a way to play one another.
And that is, in terms of our opinion together, that's so spot on with how I feel. To me, you need to be playing everybody. That's why I liked what they did with the 16-team schedule originally, that within a 4-year span, you'd play everybody home and away. So now you have to adjust that. And in basketball, I got the feeling it was going to be 3, with the 18 schools, be 3 home and aways and 14 one plays. At least you play everybody.
Yes. Yeah, right. And so, again, I loved that, the 16-team, the Flex Protect, and I thought it was really good.
Me too.
I think you're going to have, like here, you're going to get to a situation where, I mean, maybe you could protect 3 rivalries for Iowa, but I'm not convinced you can. Right. But if they still played, one of those teams every year, again, let's just say for purposes of discussion, it's Nebraska, and then every other year they played, either, Minnesota or Wisconsin, I still think that's pretty good. So are you playing every one of your rivals every year? No, maybe not from their perspective. But I still think if you can play them every other year and then play one team every year, I still think that's good.
And not only that, Dave, but, something I'm sure that you hear along the way, especially when it comes to non-conference scheduling, hey, they should be playing somebody. And we hear that all the time. By adding Oregon, Washington to go with USC and UCLA, how do you feel about the possibility of really a lot of dynamic potential matchups just within the conference? The heck with non-conference play, but within the conference.
Well, that's the best part of it, is we're going to have some incredible games. I mean, conference play is just going to be chock full of really good, intriguing games. I mean, you are adding 4 very good programs.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple of elite ones, right? I mean, I think Oregon has been elite here in recent years. USC, I understand they've slipped, but certainly historically they're elite. And then, Washington's played in the 3rd most Rose Bowls all time. UCLA is no slouch. I mean, these are 4 really good programs, and they're going to be playing someone from the league every week. So the regular season is going to be incredible, Steve. I don't think we have to sell anyone on that. I think the challenge for a lot of these schools is going to be figuring out what the balancing act of those non-conference games is. I had hoped all along when we started the college football playoff that you would really genuinely be rewarded for strength of schedule in much the same way that you are in the NCAA tournament. Like, you are rewarded for playing good non-conference games in college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
It gets you through to that tournament. It has not worked out that way in the college football playoff. Like, when a 2-loss team makes it over a 1-loss team, then I would think you're rewarding strength of schedule. And it hasn't happened yet. We're in the last year of the 14 playoff. So I feel like if I'm scheduling non-conference games, I'm not sure I'm falling all over myself to schedule higher profile ones if I'm in a league like the Big Ten playing non-conference games if you're not going to reward strength of schedule. Now, maybe it's different when you get 12 teams in versus 4. I mean, it clearly will be different. Right. But I don't know. I mean, I really think they need to Is there a formula? I don't know. Then you're going back to the computers. But I just think that the humans have not held that end of the bargain up, where they said we're gonna do this. We're rewarding strength of schedule, and I don't think it's happened yet.
There's another part, too. The jobs of everybody in the 4 West Coast schools, their jobs all are about to get more difficult. Conversely, as you just pointed out correctly, the jobs of the existing ones of the conference are going to get more difficult. So I asked this question. I know there's going to be an expansion of the college football playoff, and you and I both know that the Big Ten can get 8, and maybe under the new format with 18 schools, they could get as many as 11 in the NCAA tournament. But in football, if you finish 8th, is that good?
I think it depends who you are.
Yes,
I really do.
I agree.
I mean, if you're Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State, Ohio State, it's a catastrophe, right? I mean, a lot of places Penn State, I think it would be looked at as good. Is it good if you're I don't want to pick on anyone, but is it good if you're a team that traditionally finishes in the bottom half of the league? Yeah, it's great. So, I guess it's no different than basketball. Let's use Northwestern, right? I mean, they made the tournament last year, second time ever. They're elated. Penn State makes the tournament and makes a nice run. They're elated. But they don't feel the same way if they finish 8th in football, just because those are the expectations of the program. So I think it depends on who you are. But, yeah, no doubt, right? You finished 8th place. Well, we're in the top half of the league. But, again, you got to sell your fan base on it. And we all know that every fan base has different perceptions of where they belong.
And again, I only asked that question for this reason. If you're going to go 1 through 18 and not divisions, that does come into play. Just something to think about as you go through it. You're right. It depends on who you are. If you've been one of the bottom teams, look at this. We moved to 8th. If you're one of the brands, you're saying, we're 8th.
Yeah, but good teams are going to finish 8th. Yeah. I think, and I know that's your point, right? A good team will finish in 8th place. In the Big Ten, perhaps a really good team. But how about the bowl tie-ins? No one's talked about where's Big Ten 14 going, right? It's crazy to think of all that. So there's a lot of work to be done, no question.
And there's some old Pac-12 bowls that might be free agents that might be tie-ins because you'll need additional tie-ins.
Yeah. No, it's totally fascinating.
Dave, great conversation as always. Really enjoy the work and always enjoy talking with you. And good luck to having another one in college, okay?
Yeah, it was actually a double dip. We have twins this last
I know.
Group. So, we got 3 in college this year. So I'll be working a lot, Steve.
One point in my life, I did have 3 in college at the same time. So I can, let's use the proper word, empathize.
Yes. Let's just say I'm good at math. I knew it was coming from day one, so it didn't catch me by surprise.
It was 4 or 5 years ago you brought this up to me, so I did know you were planning. Dave, thanks so much. Appreciate you, my friend.
Be good. Right back at you. Thank you.